Hey guys, what's up? This is David from ConMenRDW here, and I have a really awesome interview happening right now. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This is Jenny from Rose City Games,
Hi, everyone.
and Rose City Games is the publishing company for Garden Story, which is an awesome game that most of you probably saw for the first time at the Indie World Showcase that Nintendo recently had. I was enamored by that game, and it looks really great, and I am so happy that I finally get to talk to somebody about this title because, like I said, a lot of people found out about it through the Indie World Showcase, but Jenny, this game has actually been apparently in development since 2018.
Rose City Games, we're an indie studio based in Portland, and so we've developed our own games, and Garden Story is the first time we've gotten to dip our toes into publishing, and we're really happy that we're working with Pico. They started in, I think it was about March, spring 2018. And we met them through an indie game event called indie game group called Pig Squad, and that stands for Portland Indie Game Squad.
Oh, that's great.
And from there, we just saw what they were working on and absolutely loved it, and had to make sure everyone else got to play it too, which is why we offered to publish the game.
So, in regards to you guys working with Pico to develop Garden Story, I saw that you guys got additional funding recently through a group called Kowloon Knights, which I guess added more opportunity for like new levels, new characters, a whole bunch of other stuff like that.
Yeah, we are working with Kowloon Knights. They're a wonderful group of folks who focus primarily on finding indie games that need that extra funding and help provide that. And so but they're not quite like a publisher in that they're doing marketing or anything like that for us. They're just really just helping us make the game bigger and better. So we're really happy to be working with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, how much did the extra help from the Kowloon Knights help grow how much farther the game would have been in comparison to if it was to launch this year?
Well, I can't get into too many specifics because
Yeah.
that gets into spoiler territory.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I am so happy that we got this funding because it allowed us to. I think the game would have been great even without that. I think Pico has done a great job, but it really allows us to add a lot more variety and depth to the game that I think folks, when they see this world, they would have wanted more of that depth. And so, it's giving us essentially another, instead of releasing in 2020, we're releasing in 2021, which is another year of development, and so much can be added, not just to the story, but to the visuals, more details and nuance, more variety of enemies and villagers that you get to meet. So it's just going to take the game, I think, to the next level.
For sure. I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on the game next year, and I'm pretty sure like everyone else would agree, take as much time as you need. This game already looks amazing right now, so any extra time in the oven is like gonna make this game like quality when it releases. So
yeah, and Picogram's the solo developer working on this. They're doing the art, they're doing the code. We have Graham Nesbitt doing the music, which also is just so good.
music is so great,
Graham
yeah.
is truly talented, yeah. So having that extra time, especially with such a small team, is just really nice.
So let's actually get talking a little bit about the gameplay of Garden Story. So one thing that I first felt when I first saw that trailer in the Indie World Showcase was that Garden Story pretty much gives off vibes that's like a mix of Harvest Moon, Animal Crossing, and I'd say like a Game Boy Advance Zelda game.
Yep.
So would you say that's like a pretty much accurate description of how the game is?
Yeah, that is a pretty accurate description of the game. I think what's really exciting about the mechanics for Garden Story is that there is that element that takes like Harvest Moon, maybe those of you who tried Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, more of those farming or social sims, but really meshes it with a Zelda-like gameplay. And I think that's really nice because you really feel like there's a lot to do. There's a wide variety of activities, and you never really feel, at least when I'm testing the game, I never really feel bored because there's always something more to do.
For sure. And in terms of having things to do, like with the Zelda-like gameplay, it's kind of like an action RPG in that sense, where you have your like melee weapons, like in the Autumn Town demo. Concord has their pick, and they also have that the a sickle so they can
Mm-hmm.
farm more materials, and also like the harvesting rod.
Yeah. So it's really cool, and I love that Pico did this. All of the tools that Concord collects throughout their adventure are dual purpose. You can use them for their intended sort of traditional purpose, like with the sickle, you can collect resources. There will be like a hammer where you can mine things, but you can also use every single tool somehow in combat, and different enemies will react in different ways, or maybe will be resistant in different ways to different tools. So that'll be, I think, really fun for players to explore and really discover as they move through the world.
And then in terms of the gardening and town building aspects that apparently are also in the game, I didn't get to do a lot of that in the Autumn Town demo, but I could see where the seeds were being planted to where those were coming to play later. Can you talk a little bit about the other aspects of the game that won't be combat based, but more so maybe like something that like the Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon fans will probably like?
Yeah. So throughout the game, the premise of the game is you're helping the community learn to help itself in a lot of ways. Concord is the protagonist of the story. They are the guardian of the grove, and they're really trying to not only protect the grove, but help each villager sort of with different favors to help rebuild the community because a rot has come in and really broken everything down. And so when you're not combating rot, oftentimes you'll be asked to do things like fix fences, raise bridges, or help provide sort of areas for people to, or not people, fruits and veggies, I guess, to traverse. And so, while I can't go into too many details about exactly how that works because we're still in the midst of development and still finessing some of it, you will be able to sort of see you'll be able to sort of see the villages of the grove like grow and evolve as a result of your interacting with it. But yes, there will be gardening, there will be building aspects, and I'm excited to eventually be able to tell you more about them in the future.
Awesome, looking forward to that. And then also in terms of like the story as well, I really like how there seems to be a gather materials, bring that back to like your base area that you're currently in, and then you can end up getting pages to these archives that are going to pretty much give you more background and lore into the world of Garden Story. So would you be able to go into a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think for a lot of people who play games, the collection and lore is a huge part of it. I know for me, I love reading in-game lore. And what Pico has done is similar to, again, many other sort of farming sims or social sims that folks may be familiar with. Each area will have its own library and hub where you can not only deposit resources to help foster that library, but also restore books within it. And so I think, oh gosh, a couple weeks ago I shared a GIF of the first page that we've ever shared of the library lore. So you'll be able to learn the origin of different villages in the Grove. You'll be able to learn the history of the Grove and perhaps how the different areas have interacted with each other, because that is part of the game as well. And yeah, just immerse yourself more in the world.
Yeah, it seems like the Grove is, because I was really in the beginning when I first played the Autumn Town demo, before I had like a lot of the background, I was confused because they were in the Autumn Town area, but then they were also referencing like the Spring Hamlet area, which I guess is where Concord might be originally from. And then also recently, I guess in the Indie World Showcase, you guys showed off the newer area, which is the Summer Bar area. So that's really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing how all of these areas interconnect and how certain like towns, I guess, work with other ones, because in the demo, Elderberry, I guess, mentioned how the hamlet traded resources with Autumn Town. So that seems really cool and really expansive. I like that idea.
Yeah, it's really something. Just I love seeing the way that the different villages interact in the game. Being able to visit, each has their own distinctive personality. So it's not just the characters that are really cute, but each area, just every time I play the game, I'm like, I wish this was real. I want to live here. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting when the final game comes out and you all can see it.
Cool. And then let's also really quick about the Guardian of the Grove thing. Concord is, I guess, he's got that they've got that chosen one aspect that they are a guardian. Does that mean that Concord is just like the strongest grape in existence or something like that? Or?
So I think this is where it gets also sort of turns a very common sort of trope, I guess, on its head a little bit, where Concord is the guardian, and for all intents and purposes, they are being asked to protect their community. But what's interesting is in this game, a lot of the villagers aren't quite sure about Concord because they're actually the youngest grape. Grapes are soft and small, and they're not really the most combat ready of the fruits and vegetables if you really think about it. And so what this game is hoping to do is explore what it means to be a hero. Heroes don't have to travel, miles or lands away to make a difference. You can also be a hero within your community. You don't have to be the strongest. You just have to be willing to offer help and ask people if they need anything, and do your best to help provide that. And of course, throughout the journey, Concord will get stronger. They'll learn different, they'll upgrade, their weapons. They'll find new skills and things like that. But ultimately, the community doesn't get better just as a result of only them. It's them working together and all helping one another.
Maybe the true hero was the friends we made along the way the whole
Exactly.
time. This game's gonna be great. I can already see there might be some themes or moments in this game that'll probably pull at players' heartstrings. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that for sure. It's gonna be super heartwarming. I love it. And then what's also interesting about that, since you're mentioning the base on community and like one person isn't in here fixing everything by themselves, and even Concord gaining new experiences as they go through their journey. In the game, when you're leveling up or looking at your stats menu, when you have the day and night cycle when you're sleeping, it says that Concord gains experience by having new actual experiences, and also leveling is based on memories. So is that going to be more like a instead of just how many enemies you defeat, it's more like how many different experiences or events you take place in on your journey, I guess? Yeah,
good eye. And I don't think a lot of people have really noticed that, so that's really cool that you did pick up on that. Yeah, that's exactly it. Concord, will gain experience through combating rot and removing them from the villages and, doing the traditional things that you would expect in a game. But Concord also will gain experiences, exactly as you said, by experiencing new things. And so that could be through collecting resources. It could be through interacting with different objects, seeking things out that are maybe off the beaten path. And in this way, I think Pico has done a great job at encouraging people to not just mainline the game, but also try to really, again, I keep saying immerse themselves, but that's really the goal is we want people to feel at home in the game and really want to explore and spend time in it. So Pico's done a great job there.
So really, it sounds like there might be instances where people's garden story runs could actually be different from other people's, where either you can experience certain things that other players missed, or you could probably do something like that, I'm guessing, probably.
Yeah, while the mainline story will, it's linear, so it will be the same for every players in that sense. I think the players who do take the time to explore in this game will get a lot more out of it, just because the nature of how Pico does their work. There's a lot of really great detail if you take the time to explore.
Awesome. Let's see. And then let's also talk about the rot. When I was playing again with the Autumn Town demo, the rot seemed to be like these purplish, oozy, like corrupted characters that are running around the overworld, which you can easily take out with your pick. But then there ends up being bigger, more menacing, and more like grotesque looking versions of the rot. Like the one at the end of the demo that had the teeth and that looked like a pulsating heart thing, and I was like, oh, this is a dramatically different looking boss than I thought I would have seen in this game.
Yes.
So I could totally expect to see maybe some like dark undertones, like maybe at some moments in the game?
Yeah, I think there is not. I would say it's a lot more eerie and a little bit more dark, especially that first boss that you encounter in Autumn Town. It is a departure from the feel of the game in general, but what I really appreciate is Pico has created this antagonist that isn't necessarily evil. Rot, like the nature of rot in the world isn't to cause harm. It just is a natural deterioration of organic objects. And so I think it's really interesting that even the adversary that we have in Garden Story is not one that's seeking to harm. It's just kind of the nature of things, which is really cool.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was probably like the darkness from the bowels of the earth comes through the grove, and then you have to end up stopping into that type of situation. But if it seems like a more natural thing, that's interesting.
Yeah, and there are questions like why is the rot becoming more prolific? Why is it showing up so close to where the villagers are living? And so there is that element of what is going on here. But I think it's really interesting that the rot is not necessarily like a traditional villain in that sense.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And let's see. And then another thing I want to talk about are the supporting cast and like the NPCs that you're going to end up running to on your journey. So Concord initially has their friends Fuji Apple, and then Rana the Frog, and then Elderberry. And I just want to say I really loved the name, the wordplay on the names with most of those. Fuji Apple, and then I think there was like Maraschino Cherry or something I saw too. So yeah, I that's where I get like a lot of the Animal Crossing vibes, where like the puns on the names. I'm like, that's adorable. So
yeah,
it's gonna be great.
All of the creatures, even if it's not maybe immediately apparent, with some of the fruits that you encounter, they all have names that refer to their actual name or scientific name in real life.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I love that. Let's see. Okay. So the sound design in Garden Story is already amazing. Like I was listening to the soundbar jam test on YouTube on like 30-minute loop. I just had the video looping, and it was such good music to listen to. So Graham Nesbitt, the sound designer, musical composer for this game, is really, really good.
He's incredible. We're super lucky because he is working on another game with Rose City. We're currently developing Floppy Nights, and he's also doing the music for that. And yeah, we are so lucky to have him. He's really good at what he does.
Yeah, because the Summer Bar music was really good to study to. But I was listening to the Autumn Town music also, and I was like, oh, I could fall asleep to this. So the rest of the soundtrack, I'm sure, is going to be just as good. So really looking forward to hearing the rest of the soundtrack as well. In terms of being shown at the Indie World Showcase for Nintendo, and having that exposure to Nintendo fans and more of a wider audience, I'm not sure how the audience retention was for Garden Story beforehand, but how much of a boost did you guys notice after it was shown off at that showcase?
I mean, it was awesome. The reception we got was really, really great. Yeah, I think Nintendo, what they do right now with indies and with the Switch is just awesome. Like it was really fun. Of course, we had an audience already established from, because Picogram is known in the pixel art community, and we have had a Steam page up for a little bit now, but being able to access folks who are familiar with Nintendo, and I think folks who are very, as a whole, into more wholesome type games, I think the Nintendo audience is perfect for a game like Garden Story. And so it was just really great to be able to finally officially talk about our participation in the Nintendo Direct and say that we were coming to Switch, because it was one of the most common questions we would get at every event we were at prior to the Direct.
Yeah, the Garden Story already looks, like I said, like a Game Boy Advance title or something that would be perfectly at home on Switch. I was actually surprised it was already like coming to PC already before that. Like it wasn't just announced straight up that day. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the Nintendo community is going to be welcoming with open arms for Garden Story 100%. And then since the game is coming out in 2021, I'm pretty sure you can't go too deep into detail on this, or if at all, but do you think that we're going to be hearing any more news about the game before the end of 2020?
I think, well, we are still going to be participating in events. We're actually going to be, I don't know when this will be published, but we're going to be a part of events like Gamescom and the Indie Arena booth. We are participating in festivals pretty much throughout the year, actually. With everything being online, we'll really try to make our presence known where we can. And on our Twitter is where we'll typically announce our participation and in those kind of events. But even before 2021, the official release, we have a newsletter that we send out every month. It's called the Grove Gazette, and it's actually written in the voice of different community members in the Grove. So you get like cute. A newsletter from the Grove every month. And we also have a Discord and Steam updates that we do more of the traditional, like, here's what we've been progressing on in the game specifically this month.
Okay. And then last question, is there any plans to bring either port over the Autumn Town demo or any other demos to the Nintendo Switch before the end of the year?
No word on that yet. We've been getting that question a lot, so unfortunately I don't have an answer for that. But gotcha. Again, if folks are interested, letting us know is great. And following us on Twitter, that's where we announced everything. Twitter and Discord is pretty much where we announce everything first for Garden Story.
Okay, awesome. And I think that's pretty much all I have right now at this moment, but you also answered a lot of questions that I had. I'm sure a lot of other players that have been keeping tabs on Garden Story since in the Indie World Showcase, and even before that, that had some questions. I'm pretty sure you answered some of those as well. So yeah, thank you so much for talking to me, Jenny. Do you have any social links that you can share for people that want to keep tabs on Garden Story, and also anything else Rose City Games has to offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I keep talking about Twitter and Discord, so I definitely should share that. The Garden Story Game Twitter is at Garden Story Game. Pretty simple. And we're also on Instagram under that same handle, so it's pretty easy to find. And our Discord is Rose City Games Discord, and it's discord.gg/Rose City Games. And that's where we talk about pretty much all of the titles we work on, and share with everyone who's interested in our games kind of where we're at with them. And you can follow us on Twitter as a studio at Rose City Games. And Picogram, let me actually, for anyone interested in following Picogram specifically and seeing their work, they are at picogram_art, A-R-T. So those are probably the best places to find us. And honestly, if anyone's interested in the game, wishlisting on Steam and keeping tabs on Steam, or wishlisting it on the Nintendo, which I learned you could do not too long ago, just following us there would be great as well.
Cool. But yeah, that's pretty much all we have for this interview, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and shout out to Jenny and Rose City Games for giving me this opportunity to learn a little bit more about Garden Story and share it with you guys. So thank you so much, Jenny.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you asking and having me be a part of this.
No problem. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.